I didn't want to have to be back here doing another quick show, but we got the update on Chet Holmgren, and it's bad. Hip fracture. Let's break down what actually happened. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. Monster. That's what it is. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I just already poured myself a gin and tonic ready to ease into cooking dinner, and then this news broke. That's all I got for you. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. You know what you're doing. You're double banging. You hit the thumb and you're double banging and you're commenting and all that sort of stuff. I did the whole recap show from Sunday, and I said, I'm not sure that Chet's injury is that serious. Maybe it was just a really bad fall on his hip. Yeah, no, I'm wrong. I go, oh, shit, as I knocked the glass over. I didn't knock it fully over. Don't worry. We're still here, ready to go. It's bad. Chet Holmgren has suffered a right hip fracture. That is a fracture through the pelvis bone in his hip, and they're going to provide an update in 8 to 10 weeks. That's January. And when you're coming back from a hip fracture, I actually, you know what? When we talked about the injury, I sort of said about how I had that skiing injury, and it was a sort of innocuous fall. It was just a bruise, but there was damage inside. His was way worse. Mine was bad, but his was way worse. And yeah, 8 to 10 weeks. And when you return, then there is rehab, and he'll be on lower minutes. He'll miss back-to-backs, and that's a disaster. This team was incredibly healthy all of last season, and this season, every one of their big men is hurt. Still no Hartenstein, no Jaylin Williams, no Kenrich Williams, and now Chet is out until like January, and I would expect that we're not getting full Chet really at all, maybe until the All-Star, and probably not even close to it until end of January. That's terrible news. The question here is going to be, who's the ad, Josh? Who's the ad? And the answer to it is, I don't really know. Last game was very weird. They just went micro-small with either, however you want to phrase it, Aaron Wiggins, Luguentz Dort, the Bronco at center. So will they do that? Because honestly, they have to. They have no other options. The only player that is tall on this team now is Ousmane Dieng, and he's got the unfortunate combination of being tall and bad. So, do they sign a short-term free agent and cut someone like Malavi Lyons and bring in like a Bismack Biyombo short-term? And if they do, we would add Biyombo. But remember, this is just a shorter-term situation because Isaiah Hartenstein is going to be returning. Pig Williams is still 5 weeks away. That's a long-term injury for him with that hamstring agitation or whatever it was, irritation. The one to watch is Kenrich Williams, the Oklahoma City mudflap. He's had knee surgery in the offseason. We don't really have an update on when he's returning. He would be able to fill in some of those minutes as well, but like we just, again, don't know when he's going to be back. So it's a frustrating scenario. I think we're probably 2 weeks away from Hartenstein, for at least from an update anyway. And because it's a hand injury, I expect he's going to be able to ramp it up relatively quickly. Like I said, they don't have other options. So they went micro ball today against the Warriors. And was that just because it was Warriors? Not really. What else can they do? So what I think we do in the short term, obviously it means we're going to have more Dort and more Bronco playing at center. I think Luguentz Dort is almost a must-add, and that is a painful thing to say. Because it's Luguentz Dort. He's bad, usually, but he's actually been really good this season. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that. If you're talking about guys who aren't as rostered as what Dort is, well, actually, the other good thing is there's a 2-game week in here. The good thing is that 2-game week enables us to get Hartenstein back, hopefully without missing too much time. I think that I would go with Cason Wallace or Aaron Wiggins. Now, Wiggins only played 18 minutes, and Wallace played 30 last game. I would lean Wallace, then Wiggins. Dort, Wallace, Wiggins is probably the direction I would go. But I think it's going to be a toss-up. We could also see Ousmane Dieng, and we could see rookie Dillon Jones. I think that Dieng and Jones are more deeper league players. Like 14 teamers, maybe 16 teamers. I'm not having supreme confidence in them. Same with like an AJ Mitchell. He'll be one of those guys. But because we've got all these players injured, Kenrich Williams, Jaylin Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, they might stagger themselves back. So you might have Kenrich back in 2 weeks or a week, and you might have Hartenstein back in 2 weeks, and you might have Pig Williams back in 3.5 weeks. So just things changing ongoing. So it's not a situation that the guy that you add here is a season-long replacement or a 3-month or a 10-week replacement. Wiggins, Wallace, Joe, Dort, Jeng, Jones, they're not long-term replacements. The back-end guys like Jeng and Jones are replacements until Kenrich Williams returns. And then the Wallace, Wiggins, Joe combination are replacements until Hartenstein returns. And this could all get thrown out the window if they decide to sign another center, which, honestly, like maybe something happens like right now. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure this out as we go along. I don't believe anything is happening at this point. No, it has not. Yeah, it's terrible after the way they started this season and after Chet's great start to the season. And again, the Chet injury-prone stuff is going to be wild. Missed his whole first season, played 82 games the next season. Oh, well, he's over his problems. He's completely healthy. And now this. Like, again, you cannot predict injuries. Games played, 1 year. Chet's the perfect example. 0, 82. He's probably going to end up playing like 40 games here, 30 games. A really frustrating scenario, obviously, if you've got Chet on your team, and there's no replacing a player like that. You got to sort of piece it and find these sort of guys in there. But I can't stress enough that be really cautious, right? Really cautious about who you add. Dort, Wallace, Wiggins, Joe, Jeng, Jones is my order. But that could be all over the shop, right? That could just be changed up on a whim by Mark Dagnott. But because there is a steady stream of replacements coming, Kenrich, Jaylin, Hartenstein, the big one Hartenstein, this might last 2 weeks. It might last 3 weeks. So be careful what you do for guys that I don't know what their role will be. You could sell out and spend a big wad of your fab and grab Cason Wallace, and he's the 110th best player for 2.5 weeks. I'm not saying not to add them. I'm saying to be cautious with either who you drop, and or how much you spend on it. Because this is not a like, oh my God, this guy is done for the year and I've got a full-time replacement. Because Hartenstein is coming. Not sure what he's doing right now in his life, but he's actually coming back to the court soon in 2 weeks. 2.5 weeks, maybe. That's a little bit up in the air, right? We just don't know. Today, Wiggins, 15 minutes in the first half, 3 in the second. Wallace, 30 minutes. Again, Dort, Wallace, Wiggins is my priority order. Joe, Jeng, Jones. After that. Joe maybe 12s, the other guy's deeper. And then see what happens if they make any signings or anything like that. It is just terrible news for me to be doing this and coming in and recording this show. But it happens. I thought I'd bring it to you now. I hope you enjoyed it. Before we get out of here, though, I will just tell you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Don't forget that FanDuel's here as America's #1 sportsbook to get you ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, the new customers, you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets if you win. And the FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So in the middle of the game, you get a hunch, you check out all the latest stats and play-by-play live on that same page where you place your bet. So go to FanDuel.com right now, join today, and get your $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com, never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. This bonus episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time Picks is the new feature from Game Time that enables you to get your tickets easier, better, more value. Game Time Picks cuts through the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Go ahead and check that out as well as in the app, toggle on the all-in pricing, which shows you the full price of the ticket up front so you don't have to worry about the added fees when you get to checkout. They've also got the Game Time ticket coverage so your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Sorry to be joining you again under those bad circumstances, but we're here. We did it. Thumb it up, subscribe. Hopefully Chet's able to come back at full health and it's not a career-impacting injury, which is a real worry with those sort of injuries. Hopefully we're all good here. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.